All right, we are live. Let me see. Here we go. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining in to another broadcast. It's good to be here. We got my partner, I want to say in crime, but my partner in this struggle,
In the struggle. That's it.
Brother Chris and Sister Yvette, Mama Spears and Sister Shaw and Brother Gary and Sherry Green, better known as Church Lady. It's good to have everybody on here um, as we get ready to talk about this discussion on do we want a democracy or do we want a dictatorship? And the reason why I asked that question is the more and more this thing goes on, especially in this Teamsters organization, when we go in and visit different areas and different barns and different people, the message is always the same, is that people are afraid to really stand up and speak out of what is going on because of retaliation, intimidation, and all these other things that we shouldn't even be talking about in a union. This is boss, ruling class, employer type of behavior. And unfortunately, for those who been around a long time, this is nothing new. This has been going on for a very long time. And it needs to change. I think we could be a whole lot more as Teamsters, especially in this organization, if we get rid of this political assassination, this intimidation and all or whatnot that we have to face. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about some policy changes that we're looking to uh, put forth at the delegate election next year. I know everybody is seeing a lot of stuff on social media, and it gets nasty and it gets ugly. But again, it doesn't have to be that way. But this is the Teamsters. So, Sister Yvette, it is something that I want to lead off with. Uh, I know you are part of Teamster Mobilize, and I want to say thank you for the work you guys are doing. You and Jess and Colleen and
Yes.
the whole crew, man. You guys are kind of picking up the baton where, unfortunately, TDU has kind of like just laid it down. And I'm hearing that, and I saw some things you guys put out that they are banning you guys from coming, but some of you guys from coming to the TDU convention. Now, I thought that TDU, they were about democracy, free speech, having a difference of ideas, having these conversations. But now it seems something different, and I'm not a part of it, so I don't want to speak on something I don't know. I know you have more insight and detail about that. So what's what's going on with that?
So basically, a few of the Teamsters Mobilized members actually paid to go to the conference in Chicago, and they have now been refunded uh, and told that they cannot attend. That TDU reserves the right to allow whoever they want to allow to come, which sounds nothing like democracy. If it's going to be a democratic union, that doesn't sound like that's what it is. So several of them have received refunds after, and some even, I think, refunded their dues as TDU members. But some of them are still active members, but they still abandoned them from coming to the conference, uh, which is crazy to me. If we're trying to educate, if we're trying to
Right.
empower, they say they're trying to crash the conference. Well, that's not how that happens. Nobody's trying to crash a conference. They're coming to get information and speak to like-minded people that's supposed to be fighters, um, and in the same movement together. But apparently, it's something separate going on these days, and so that's why I never renewed my membership. I've been out for a couple of years now because I saw the direction
Oh, okay.
and I didn't like it. So I I thought about trying to see if I can go and see if they would send my money back, which is crazy. But yeah, that's what's been happening to our brothers and sisters. Trying to go to the conference.
Yeah,
At the same
I listen. I always respected TDU and what they did, education and empowerment of our members. They do a great job of that, and They always talked about, speaking out against things that, workers and members didn't like, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they brought up a good point that if Hoffa was still in office and some of the things that are going on right now, if he was responsible for them, man, it would have been on front page news from TDU. I mean, they would have talked about him like a dog and calling him out and just talking about accountability and how bad he needs to go. But now they no longer do that. And to me, that's the most disheartening thing because I got a lot of respect for a lot of the people there because a lot of those
Yeah,
people have helped me, and
because there's still a lot
and
of
I would
great
never
members.
forget
Yeah.
that.
It's
You know
still
what
a
I
lot of
mean?
great union members within TDU. It's the leadership that's moving it in whatever direction it's going. So the rank and file TDU members, all of them are not on that same accord. It's still a lot of
Okay,
great
got you.
fighters, and there's still a lot of great brothers and sisters in TDU. But the leadership is the one sending out letters, letting them know that we're not letting you come, and refunding money. So they've actually sent letters to let them know that they weren't going to allow them to
So
come.
this is a leadership thing, not
Yeah,
the
this is a leadership.
actual
Yeah, yeah. So it's a leadership thing. 'Cause it's like I said, there's some great brothers and sisters still in
right.
TDU, right? As rank and file members of the, paying their dues. But the leadership is the one who's saying, "Hey, we're not dealing with Teamsters Mobilize, and we're going to send them their money back, and even send them a letter specifying that we don't want them there because of X, Y, and Z." So, that's the issue. But like you say, they great for education. I still use their
Yeah,
educational tools that
yeah.
they have for you to download. The toolkits are great. They're still holding tight to that portion of what they should be doing, but the rest of it, is questionable.
Right. Brother Gary and Chris, I gotta ask you guys a question. I don't know if you guys, Chris, I know you know Gary. I don't know if you know too much about TDU. But what do you think has happened to the point where now they no longer really call out? What goes on at the IBT before, it was almost like a daily or weekly thing that we would hear something about, what is going on at IBT, a lot of the things that impact members. We don't hear that from them anymore. I mean, why do you guys think that has stopped?
Well, let me just say this, not from TDU because I've only been to one thing they ever had in New York some years back, and if it wasn't for being who I am, I would have never gotten in. Because people recognize it because they wanted to keep me out, and then people said, "No, no, no." People, that's Chris.
Right.
But it's very difficult to transition from being the revolutionary to being the government, to governing, right? So when you're on the outside, you're throwing bricks, you're throwing rocks and what have you. Now you're on the inside. And now you want to protect your space. And one of the most difficult things is to maintain revolutionary mind as you govern. And that means that you allow other revolutionaries to critique the revolution, right?
Mm,
And to challenge the revolution, because that's the only way that a revolutionary becomes better, right? That's the only way you govern better is to constantly have this updraft of criticism to make you question, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right moves? Are we implementing the right programs for the people? And most times when you become the government or the governors, then you'd start to push against those that are governed. And that is what is happening within that space right now because, there are fat checks involved and there's the potential of pension rights that become involved. And, when you've been throwing rocks for a long time and you get to a certain age, and you realize, holy smoke, I don't have a pension. I don't have this. I don't have that. And somebody says, well, if you allow me to take over,
mm.
I will make sure that you have some of these things before you turn 65. And I think that's what we are experiencing right now is the failure of the revolutionary to continue to be a revolutionary.
Solution.
Yeah.
What about you, Brother Gary? What you got on that?
Uh, this, everything Brother Chris just said could kind of resonate in my mind. This week, it's been kind of like a whirlwind of this mindset in my head and questioning some things. So I'll kind of go back a little bit. So my first TNVC conference was Miami.
Okay.
And when we were told we were going to the protests with the school district, I mean, my heart just like blew up. Like, wow, like, man, I've always felt in my heart, I've always been a studier of history and different things, and always wanted to be in some type of organization to be effective somewhere. So when this happened, it was like, wow, like, man, I found my tribe, right? And since then, prior to that, I was a shop steward already, and doing the different things and kind of gaining respect of my group and stuff like that, and kind of being appointed the steward for my department, which we have multiple stewards, but for some reason my voice and face is out there predominantly, right? So this past week we went to a state of the county where a lot of the businesses come into the county and they do a big presentation about what's going to happen and money going to be coming into the county and jobs and all this whatnot. So I attended it and I took a lot of pictures with different people, the heads of my department, some county people, some district people, whatnot, and I posted it on Instagram. And I had someone respond in a text to me saying, "Oh wow, you're friends with the enemy now," because I took some pictures with the assistant director of my department, right? That a lot of people are odds with me now.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, well, I have to maintain relationships for the betterment of all of us, right? It's for us, like, I just can't not like the person or hate the person or
Yeah.
not associate with the person, that I'm gonna have to associate with, right? And it just made me think like, wow, like all I did was take a picture. It's just a picture, right?
Yeah.
Just a picture at an event and got that little pushback. And like Brother Chris says, everyone has a different opinion of you when you're in the dirt with them. But the minute you seem a little bit to the side or seem a little bit higher or seem a little bit like your boots aren't as dirty as mine anymore, then they start looking at you different and they're not understanding the intricacies or the things you have to then kind of manipulate or shift in order to accomplish certain goals. But I can also see what the sister was saying as far as leadership now not being in tune with the membership.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's with every organization, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can see that in almost any type of organization that you're in. So I'm still in the learning stages and kind of watching and learning how to maneuver and learning, how these things function. But it's kind of disheartening. And I know you kind of led with earlier talking about the things that's happening right now in politics as far as the gentleman that got killed and the vote and stuff that just came out. But we could talk about that later on.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I don't talk about that kind of stuff, man, because it's so divisive. And listen, nobody deserves to get assassinated like what happened to Mr. Kirk. I mean that is one of the most horrific things that I've ever saw. But so was the George Floyd killing. Mhm. They both were horrific, right? And that's the problem that I see in this country, man. It seems like, we anything that happens to a certain demographic, it's okay. But if it happens to somebody else, oh my God, man, we gotta, lower the flags half staff, and we gotta do this and we gotta do that. And I saw all the stuff that was posted online about it, man. I'm like, oh my God, how many people knew Mr. Kirk? Did you know him? Did you know his family? Right. Now, what happened to him was horrific in front of his wife, his two young kids, man. That is devastating. But like the preacher said down in Virginia, how you die does not absolve you from how you live. It's just what it is. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't listen to hardly anything from the brother. I don't really know him. People play clips and stuff, but then you start listening to how people talk about him on both sides. Some people thought he was great, other folks thought he wasn't, and that's the beauty of democracy, right? You can have an opinion, you can feel a certain way, but the moment that I think when we start to try to quiet free speech, which they're trying to do now, that's the problem that we getting ready to walk into. Because my father actually called me yesterday, and he was talking about fascism and everything. Like he said, son, don't they know this is what we going down? The authoritarian president and trying to take control of the media and all this stuff. Working people don't have rights. I said, Pop, I know, I get it, but it was different hearing him say it because he really don't really talk like that,
Mm.
right? He's more, I guess he's been a preacher all his life. He's a pastor, so it's most of the time we talk, it's about scripture and Bible, But this is how I know that people are paying attention, right? Because they see what's happening, and we got to wake up, especially as working class people in the union, because it's going to take us to really get out of this. It's no politician is going to help us. We're going to have to pull up our bootstraps up and save ourselves. That's it.
So I'm going to say this. Our grandparents, some of us, depends on your age, our parents had this battle before. This is not something new.
Right.
And America is entering into a stage where worse than before because the mind is so convoluted now. So it's not just the hate, right? It's now confusion, right? And Malcolm had spoke about this, how the media had become so powerful that it would teach you to hate your friend and love your enemy. That was in the 60s. Think about this. That was when Malcolm died, 60 something, 64, whatever.
64, yeah.
Right? So from then till now is what? 50, 60 years?
61 years, yeah.
Right? Think of the difference in what media looked like in 64 to now, the concentration of who owns what.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at what happened with CBS, there was a company, Skydance, that wanted to buy CBS that needed federal approval. And they were willing to sacrifice freedom of the press, firing Stephen Colbert
Mm-hmm.
in order to achieve an outcome. Likewise, Sinclair Media and these guys who want to continue to consolidate, because to some extent, they say that television as we knew it is a dying thing, right? Everybody's going to podcasts, people get information from different places, and they're looking for approvals for different things, and they're willing to sacrifice what we perceived America to be. But America has never been America to the working class, nor has it been America to people of African descent, nor has it been America to women, right? And you could break that down, LGBT, so forth and so on like that. But if you just look at these massive groups, women got the right to vote in 1920, right? So 1776 to 1920, right?
It's a long
It's
time.
150 years there, about a long time, right?
Yeah.
From 1920 to 2020 is only 100 years.
That's it.
105 years women have had the right to vote. Same thing likewise with us.
Yeah. 1965.
So,
right.
yes,
Right.
this rollback, right? This rollback is to take away the right to vote, to eliminate all the Africans and women in Congress over time. Because once you start sliding backwards, everything is going to tumble, right? It's going to tumble this way. The only thing, I look at my members and I ask them, I says, once you kick all the Africans out of America, we're all gone, everybody's back to Africa. I said, besides the fact that you ain't never going to win another basketball game at the Olympics, Do you believe that racism ends? Do you believe that discrimination ends? And they said no. But because we so locked out into these little zones and there is no connection to the zones, this didn't start yesterday. We already in the fascist state.
Yeah.
And don't think Trump is the fascist. Trump is clueless as to what's going on. He can't be taught anything. You saw him over there in England touching the king when he ain't supposed to just shake hands and, all protocol. None of those things mean anything. He been living in a life of I am clueless from he was a child, just getting worse as time goes by. Our fight, because you said it right, Richard, it is only the union movement that's going to save us from the nth degree. Because once we go through this fascist state, where are we on the global stage, right? Because you gotta look. We've been the Don for a while, right? We've been running the block. When you I have not met anyone that got pushed. I'm talking street talk now. That got pushed off the block. That got the block back. If you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. So once America gets pushed off the block, then we're like France, we're like England. Yeah, we got some things, but we ain't the guy we used to be. We might still be hustling, we might still be doing things, but we're not that guy anymore, which means that there's now a new guy on the block that we all become subservient to. People need to look at the news and see what happened in China the other day. Because they focus on 4 people. They focus on Putin, Modi from India, Xi from China, and my brother from North Korea, short fella there,
Kim
Jong-un, right?
Yeah.
There were 38 other national leaders or international leaders at this thing they had. Brazil, blah, 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 all these other countries. Nobody talked about them, but they were there. So at some point, we become isolated from the rest of the world, right? They invited African leaders to America and America says, yo, man, we'll hook you up, but you gotta, get rid of China out of your life. And the 18 leaders said, no, it ain't gonna happen like that, right? So we're already losing, right, our place. $13 billion worth of soybeans was not bought by China from American farmers this year. Right, so there's this whole piece that's going down, the implications of what came out of the investments that they have in that Hyundai plant in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are the only guys that really know how to put this together. Say, I ain't never coming back to America. Not after that experience. Only the union can lift us out of what is going to be a very catastrophic future. And that's why change has to come in the leadership, because we cannot have a leadership that's confused about where we are in history. We cannot be confused about this moment.
Right. So, Chris, I know you were down last week at the political coordinators conference. You want to talk about that?
Yes. That was an edifying experience.
Okay, all right.
People should go and look up American Compass, which is a right-wing lobbying think tank, whatever they are, that has saddled up with the union to pass the faster contracts. I think that has so that if you organize a shop within a certain period of time, negotiations have to start. Within a certain amount of time, you got to go here and ultimately end up in binding arbitration within some specified period of time. And on the surface, that is not something that we would not want to see happen. It has its space.
Yeah.
But those same people are anti-union in the sense that they still promote right to workism, which is a weakness within our system. And if you look up the company, they really don't do much for labor, right? So they had a gentleman by the name of Daniel Kishi. If you look this brother up, outside this one moment in time, because who appoints the arbitrator when it comes to binding arbitration, right? Who appoints this person, right? So, because you can't strike now, right? Because there's a flow to an outcome. So, who's appointing the arbitrator? And does the arbitrator agree that the worker should have a pension? Does the arbitrator agree that they should have paid health care? Because you can have a contract that is useless to the member.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? So we
Mhm.
got to be very careful about this thing. Then they had Assistant Attorney General Gail Slater, right wing. Obviously haven't seen anything that don't seem like a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. If you look at the concentration in the media game today, right? If that's not, you know, monopolies, if these are not monopolies, then monopolies don't exist. If you look at the railroad industry, if those are not monopolies, then monopolies don't
Mhm.
exist. So, that was cool. They went through all of that. Then on day 2, they had a brother called Riley Moore. Now they had Cory Booker, and Cory Booker comes and makes a fancy speech, but just I have no, my perception of political people are that they are tools to be used to achieve your outcome, not to be loyal to. So, Corey's a guy came, Adam Schiff came, made fancy speeches, sounded good. But what I most liked was this gentleman, Riley Moore from West Virginia. And they introduced Riley Moore as a guy who was a welder in the mines. Assumptively, he was a member of the United Mine Workers of America. It doesn't say that if you look him up on Wiki. It doesn't say that. It does say he was a welder because West Virginia is a right to work state. So he could have worked there and still not been a member of the union. But
Mhm.
let's say he was. So, Chris, I'm just going to ask simple questions. I don't want to get into too much. So I says, hey, man, what's your position on increase in the minimum wage to, like $20 an hour? Oh, my goodness. He was against it. And then when he realized, oh, I'm in the wrong spot to be against this, he started to dip and duck through the bogs and the hollows. I got lost somewhere between the bog and the hollow, you know what I'm saying? And so, so now I go to the AFL voting list, right? How do all these Republicans vote? The highest Republican vote, as ranked by the AFL-CIO, is 20% in favor of Labor. Most were at 0, and the rest were at 10 to 20%. I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm wrong, but maybe we should be wrong, because ultimately, if you have the right to strike, you can achieve something that binding arbitration might not get for you, right? So we have to look at this, right? So something can look very good on the surface, but it has a bad outcome. So I don't think it's going to pass. When I look at the lineup of Republicans, because for it to come to the floor for a vote, Speaker Johnson has to say yes. So you could get all these people, yeah, I'll co-sponsor, and it never gets to the floor because the speaker is the only person that can make it come to the floor, and he doesn't make it happen. So, you have all this support and blah, 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 because they know Speaker Johnson ain't never going to make it happen. But the union is still looking, oh, we could work with these guys. They worked with us. Oh, it didn't work out. And it's a trap door to get us trapped off into something that ends up dragging us out and weakening our position within the class. And that's what I'm fearful of. But
Gotcha. So,
it
so
was
name,
eye-opening to realize how deeply we had gone into the weeds with these Republicans. Because these, as a matter of fact, one of these gentlemen, I don't remember which one it was, it might have been the guy from Daniel Kishi from the American Compass. But he said, this is Trump's Republican Party. This is not the Republican Party. This is Trump's Republican Party. What? You know what I'm saying? I've never heard that somebody said this was Biden's Democratic Party, or this was Obama's Democratic Party, or this was Clinton, because, you know, Democrats be fighting each other all the time because it's a broad tent, right? So there's different factions of quote unquote progressiveness, including some right-wing people in there. So this was an eye-opener to me to see what I saw. It was also an eye-opener to watch union people and their reaction to these individuals. So, and what they said, because I would have thought when the guy said he wasn't down with raising the minimum wage, that there would have been some uproar. Not at all.
so the Faster Labor Contracts Act is what it's called.
Right.
And so my question is, I'm wondering how many members know about this act and what it could do for, you know, organizing the first contract. And that's something that I think, you know, as an organization, we do have to get better on stuff like this, because this is a good thing. We need to talk to our members about it, get them behind it, because like you said, Chris, what happens if this doesn't pass? Right? Then we need to mobilize our members. But if they're not organized around what it means, then how can we mobilize around it, right? Because they don't know.
But what happens if you go to binding arbitration in the fascist state? And at the end of the day, you don't get the type of contract that meets the minimum standards of a union, right? So it doesn't include, let's just say it's Amazon. Let's just use Amazon as a for example. And we finally get to some space and we organize Amazon and we go down this path. Boom, binding arbitration, because they're going to drag it to the bitter end, right?
Yeah.
Binding arbitration. And the arbitrator says, well, you know, I hear all your points, but here's my decision. And they don't get $30 an hour. They get 19. Let's say 22, right? So where's UPS on this scale still, right? So UPS is high 30s, low 40s, right? They're still halfway behind. We think they should co-pay for their medical. And no pension. They'll get a 401k, right? That's the first contract. How do you beat this contract on the next go-round? Or you understand the point I'm saying? So yes, you're collecting dues. So from a businessman's point of view, that's very good for the union. 1 million people paying $50 a month in dues. I mean, who can argue with that, right? So there's that point. You lost the leverage of the strike at the end of the organizing. So yes, it does look good on the surface of it. And I'm not saying it's bad. I don't want to be a naysayer. But I also look deeper, because if you're in the fascist state, I'm the king. And I'm going to determine who's that arbitrator, right? So when you go to binding arbitration, all you do is put your arguments on the table. They should have this. They should be equal to UPS. They should be this. They should be all these things. Company comes and goes, hey, listen, that's a big hit for me to take just on day one to triple the salary of my workers and give them a pension and blah, blah, blah. if I appointed the arbitrator and I'm the king,
Yeah.
you don't get no place. You don't get a good contract out of the first contract. You get a contract, but you have 50 million people that felt some kind of way, right? And they go to the second contract and you really don't make no extra moves there either. How long do they stay with you? So we have to, we have to see, so it looks good. And and again, I don't want to say it's bad because we haven't tasted it yet, right?
Right.
Um, I just don't think it happens because Speaker Johnson don't like unions, period. And I don't think it ever comes to the floor for a vote. That's my
Well, we'll have to wait and
personal
see.
opinion. We wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
And I hope I'm wrong. I want to be very clear.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. But I also have questions about whether or not this is some kind of panacea as opposed to the PRO Act that we had envisioned. Because one of the most
Yeah.
things about the PRO Act was it did away with right to work, right? And they feel that they can't beat that stick. And I think the union has the power and the resources to go into Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, what have you, and talk to workers, specifically Black workers. And I'm not talking about union workers now, I'm just talking about Black
Workers in general, right?
right? Sufficient to convince them to register to vote and go to the polls. If half of the eligible voters in the Confederate States register and vote, we flip them all. We flip them all. So while we're here playing around with these Democrats, we need to be investing on grassroots activities, working with Stacey Abrams and people like that who are doing this kind of work on the ground to mobilize people in these states to get them to register and vote. So, instead of spending $60 million on the Democratic Party, I would spend $60 million on building a movement to change the South because they can't gerrymander the Senate.
Right. Samsung SM G996U. Where are you? Samsung?
Identify yourself, Samsung, or you will be cut off.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I don't know how to work this, but I apologize. They told me to get on the live stream from the TMBC.
Oh no, this is not TNBC.
Yeah, you're in the wrong space.
Sorry about that.
Are you a Teamster?
I think
Yes,
maybe
sir.
he's saying somebody from TNBC might have sent him this for.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
probably
but
okay.
who are you?
Charmel Smiley,
What local you from?
63.
Okay. All right. Good
Okay.
to have you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna take a quick shift here. We're
Right.
gonna talk about this this IBT election, right? Let's talk about that. Let's get down with it. So everybody knows that there is a IBT election next year, and a lot of stuff has been said, a lot of stuff has been done, and we see the rhetoric, we see what's going on social media, we hear all kinds of things. And so I want to talk about some of the internal stuff that we've been talking about when it comes to this issue of intimidation and retribution. So there is a brother down in Richmond, Virginia, principal officer, local 322, Brian Payton. And he, again, well-respected gentleman, well-respected brother, does a lot of great work down in Virginia for his local, organizing, again, hardworking brother.
That's true.
Matter of fact, when we had the rally for Gwen Wilcox myself, Chris, and guess who else was there?
Brian
Brother
Payton.
Peyton, because we understood the importance of the NLRB and also sticking by and standing with a sister. Because you also see what's going on with the White House and this Fed chair, the
That's right.
governor, they're
That's
going
right.
after her.
That's
So
right.
we have a obligation to stick with our people, right? Especially when they're attacked like this. We just have to do it. So this brother, Brian Payton, just to give everybody some background. So I'm not gonna call the Secretary of Treasurer's names though. The Secretary of Treasurer was is a supporter of the Oz administration. So that's all good. You have every right to support who you want to support.
That's right.
And I think people need to understand that this is a democracy. You can support, you can hate, you can whatever. You pay your dues, you have the absolute right to support and vote for whomever you want to. That's just the bottom line. Nobody has a right to bully you, intimidate you, or retaliate against you, or harass you, whatever. Don't have a right to do that.
That's right.
So,
No hate. No hate, though. No hate.
no hate, no
No
hate.
hate. No hate.
So as it would happen, Brian Payton, again, principal officer of his local, has some strong opinions. I'll leave it at that about some folks on the Oz slate, as well as the current general president. And so, because of that, a lot of things have been happening that's just out of the ordinary. Chris, let me ask you this question because I know you will understand this. Let's say the IBT or the Joint Council were to call a strike in your local without you knowing, how would you feel about that?
I would be highly, highly upset.
But what would cause them to do that if again you just find out, matter of fact, you find out on social media there's a strike going on in your local and you're the principal officer and you have no knowledge of it.
Yeah, that is that's treasonous behavior. That is
Treason.
abhorrent behavior. Yes, yes.
Exactly.
That's a
Now,
disrespect for the autonomy of
there
the
you go. Disrespect to the autonomy of Brian Payton and Local 322. Keep that in mind. So, because Brian Payton didn't bend the knee, doesn't go along with the get along, they decided, you know what we're gonna do, man? We're gonna do this. And I'll throw this in for free for everybody who don't know. Not only did they do that, the general president has put one of the at-large presidents that's in Brian Payton's joint council to be a monitor for the local. So that means, hey, any decision that e-board of 322 makes has to go through the general president's appointee. He's not trustees, but because you won't go along with the get along, because you won't take a knee, because you won't bow down, this is what we're going to do to you. And that is the reason why this organization will not fulfill our promise, our potential. We won't do it until we get rid of that element. And I just don't understand. And there's more to it, but I can't go into the weeds with it because I don't want to put so much information and call other people by name. But I want folks to know that this is what we're dealing with. When you don't go along with the get along, this is what they do. And it's going to continue until we do something about it.
But
Chris, I see you think you about to say something.
yeah, because in this situation, and I've seen this even during the Hoffa years, I've seen this during the Ron Kerry years, where they use our own brothers and sisters
Yeah.
to execute the plan, right?
Right.
So it's not that the behavior is not abhorrent. How you can't say this is racism? I got one of your guys doing this to you.
Yeah.
And instead of those people saying, let me tell you something. Constitution of the Union says local unions came together to form the international. The international the local unions are not subservient to the international. They created an international to do the things they could not do individually, right?
Mhm.
When you needed to galvanize the group.
Right, right.
What has happened here, and this has happened with the, and I'm going to say, I'm not even going to say Hoffa because it probably started even before him, is the pressure downwards in which the international now becomes, it's almost like government, right? The international now becomes the king of the hill, right?
Mhm.
And the locals become subservient. You see it in the dues structure. You see it in how they destroyed the regional councils that they had, Eastern region, Western region. Our labor movement cannot have us, the few Black principal officers, the few Blacks that are involved, stewards, business agents, whatever, they can't have us. If we can't depend on each other, so that when they approach us to do something negative to one another, to say, nah, Chief, you got to handle that on your own. And let me, by the way, let me call my boy and let him know you coming.
You coming, right.
If we can't do that, we have real issues. And I've watched this. So if you go back to 1991, there was a three-way race between R.V. Durham, Ron Carey, and R.V. Durham, Ron Carey, and a guy named Walter Shea. That was the only time that I saw Blacks at our level as national, local union leaders stick together.
Mm.
Now, we did have a few that drifted, don't get me wrong, but the vast majority stuck together. Since that time, they have just, we like pulled pork. They just shred us, you know. Hey, come on over here. Hey, come on. And we have no guiding principle about the future of the labor movement so long as I can get a check. You understand the point I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what we have here are people who are willing to sell out the movement
For a check.
for
And
a
a
check.
position.
Yes.
And a title.
And a title.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Go back to the late 1800s into the early 1900s. They're called the Gilded Age. Look at what was happening, the concentration of wealth, how they treated the union. Look at all these things. This is not new. And if you don't understand what happened yesterday, if you don't understand Bull Connor, if you don't understand Sheriff Clark, if you do not understand what happened in Selma, if you do not understand any of these things, you are going to be in living hell. Because this is 9 months of Trump. This is 9 months. This ain't 2 years.
9 months.
We got 3 years to go.
Yeah, Lordy.
And no one has shown any resistance to any of these things that are happening here. 700,000 workers in the federal government lost collective bargaining rights, and there was no reaction. None. Right? Lawsuit. If there was a reason for a national general strike,
yeah,
was it?
Yeah.
Right? So what Richard is doing, and I'm saying this because I'm hoping that rank and file members see this. This is not going to change at the top. It has to change from the members recognizing that their future is in jeopardy. Their pensions are in jeopardy.
Right.
Healthcare is in jeopardy. Their wages are in jeopardy. Not Chris, maybe me, but in theory, right? Not me. I'm too old now, you know. But if you're under 40, your future is dark in the workspace. Social Security, we're not sure that's going to be around. Pensions, Look at how many pensions existed in 1975 to now. Just Google it. It's frightening, right? Look at wages, the flatlining of wages from 1975 to now compared to productivity, CEO wages, cost of living, the cost of a house, the cost of a car, the cost of gasoline, the cost of heat the freaking house. We have work to do as rank and file members. These international guys, they're making their money. They're on that plus side of, 300,000. I don't begrudge it. Don't get me wrong. But when you take that and forget where it came from and what we sent you there to accomplish, and you believe you are now the king,
Yeah.
the rank and file has a problem. And what Richard is trying to do, the rank and file, you're going to let some guy in your local tell you, oh, no, we're going this way. No. You are working class, A, you're black, B, you're a woman, C, and none of this has your interest. The people who are anti-woman are anti-union. The people who are anti-black are anti-women. They're anti-working class. They're pro the boss.
Right.
And if you're pro the boss, I got you. But if you're pro working class, you have got to join the fairness slate. You have got to go out here and get signatures to make sure that this gentleman becomes the leader of this union, because the other one that's there now has already failed the test.
So, Chris, you talked about something about the due structure, and that's something that we talked about privately, but I talked about it yesterday with a group of people, and I want this group here and everybody else to see where I'm going with this. So the largest contract the Teamsters have is UPS, and I know we talk a lot about it. We know that there's 1 million more Teamsters. God knows I know that.
Yes.
But you have to build a foundation, I believe, with your largest group. And I come from UPS. That's number one. So I know the ins and outs of the job. Carol Tomei put out this video on September the 8th in Atlanta to the Atlanta Rotary Club, right? And she was talking about a lot of different things. But when you listen to that video, around the 11th and a half minute mark, she talks about automation and how, she is so excited about it and how it's going to automate the sorters, it's going to automate the scanning, it's going to automate the having robots unload the truck and load the truck. She's excited. She talked about roadie, and automation is not just a UPS thing, it's a working class thing.
Yes.
Right. It's going to impact and affect every single working class person. And so what we decided to do and what we've been thinking about when we get to that convention next year is how do we help those locals who are going to be severely impacted by this automation? Not just UPS locals, but every local, because you're going to lose some resources because of automation. It's going to happen. Members are going to lose their jobs. We're going to have to come up with a plan to help them. We're going to have to, hopefully this amendment that we're going to present to the convention delegates, hopefully it goes through next year. But again, we talked about local autonomy. It is very, very important that locals keep their resources and they keep their autonomy. So right now in the Constitution, Article 10, Section 3, this is where you get your per capita and how it breaks it down. What we want to do to help these locals out, help these members out, to preserve autonomy, if you lower the dues rate, the per capita, right now it's 22, 23%. If you lower the rate 15 to 17%, those locals will get more resources because they're not going to have them. They're not going to have them. If you are a UPS local, you're going to lose some money, right? And so what happens when you start to lose resources? You may have to cut some staff, may have to cut a business agent, may have to do this, and that weakens your fight against the employer. Whenever you lose resources, it impacts not just the money, it impacts the way in your ability to fight the employers. It is what it is. But what if the per capita dropped to a point where you can continue, keep your BAs, keep those resources, and I can hear the chat. Oh man, Hooker talking about bankrupting the IBT. Oh, what we gonna do? No, 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 no. IBT has plenty of money. But on the back end, when locals do what they're supposed to do with these new resources, hire an organizer,
That's right.
organize more workers. What happens if you got more workers in your union? That money still goes to the IBT.
That's right.
So there is no way, and I know people are going to try to poke holes in it because it's political, but I'm going to ask a very simple question to all the principal officers out there, secretary treasurers. I know you wouldn't mind having more resources. I know it. This is not a thing where this is a bad idea, because when automation really kicks into effect, you're going to start seeing it in your pockets.
Yeah.
You know how you run your local, and we want to mitigate that as much as possible. Yeah, we can blame the general president and what he said in September of 2023, how he stopped automation. Yeah, after you do that, what you gonna do? Here's a policy change to help those locals fight back against that.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be a problem. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, when you start losing shifts and buildings start to close and those dudes ain't coming in, you're going to feel it. Trust me,
happening.
because I'm feeling it.
Yeah, it's happening now.
Right, it's happening now. So instead of complaining about it, here's a plan. Now, what do we do for the members who are going to be probably displaced? We're going to have to train them to either help fix this automation because it's going to break down. There's going to be some bugs. We're going to have to make demands that, hey, instead of you trying to send these folks away, you're going to have to do something where they can continue to work.
Yeah.
Got to train them to do the work. And I know Danny Herbert out of 952 had a situation like that in his local where he filed a grievance for, I think they were doing something electronic, or I don't know if it was automation, but it was something similar where he filed a grievance. And so now that program that company implemented, the workers are now doing it, right? And so that's something that we're going to have to do. But again, lower the dues per capita, drop it down 5 to 7%. Help these locals out, because I'm telling you, when them hits start coming in, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a serious problem.
Let me tell you, this automation thing, Goldman Sachs, I believe, if my numbers, I might be off by a couple million, predicted that AI was going to negatively affect over 40 million people worldwide. Our struggle now, let me tell you, the automated trucks already exist.
Yep.
Okay. If you look at these warehouses, you go to Amazon and some of these warehouses, these robots already exist.
Yep.
That are moving stuff around. I went to, and I'm going back, I've been a principal officer now 36 years. I'm going back at least 30 years ago, and I went to a Miller brewing plant down in Texas, somewhere in that Fort Worth, Dallas area. And that plant was entirely automated all the way up to the thing putting on the truck, right? Where normally you would have had a forklift, that thing, that conveyor belt took it all through, shrink wrap, dap, to the truck. All the guy had to do was pick it up with a forklift and carry it all the way into the back of the truck. Fully automated. Anheuser-Busch, all of these. So this is going to affect dairy.
Yeah.
Affect soft drink. It's going to affect these breweries. It is going to affect warehouses.
Yep.
It is going to affect the very foundation of this union. Trucking. How many over the road guys we got? How many feeder drivers do we have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What's left of ABF and them? How long? Right? We have got to have a concentrated plan of action to protect work.
Yep.
Right? To train up people who might lose work, so that we say to the company, well, okay, you want to have these robots? Well, for every robot you have, you need to have a mechanic, and you, company, got to train them. So there's a point where the argument ain't about a raise of pay anymore.
Yeah. Protection of
The
work.
argument is about protection of the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because there's no need to get a 10% wage increase and you ain't there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have got to have a whole different focus. And we saw this. I said this to Richard when they were doing the UPS contract. I says, how can you do the supplement first if you don't know what
Yeah.
the body of the contract look like?
Yeah.
And the supplement has an economic implication to the company. And I told him then that the deal is already made. And UPS knew what the cost of the contract was going to be. 20,000 people have lost their job at UPS in 2 years of the
Yeah.
contract.
2.5. Yeah.
2.5 years. 20.
And it's going to be more, man, because she said, I'm telling y'all, when y'all listen to this video she did on September 8th, man, she was excited, man. And, she was talking about how, robots and
But I'm going to take it
sorting.
a step further. But I think it's a 777. Do you know that plane can take off, fly, and land without a pilot in there?
Mm.
The only reason the pilot is there is to give comfort to the passengers. If you listen, there was a intersection between a Spirit Airlines and Air Force One recently, and the air traffic controller says to the Spirit pilot, "Get off of your iPad and
Wow.
right? Because you could just plug it in and leave it alone, and
Right.
get on TikTok or do whatever you're doing." So we have to be very think of how technical flying a plane is.
Yeah.
And they already can fly without the pilot. So our future as workers is dark. Now, and I don't know who buy these products. I don't know who, so we have to become very involved in the future of this union and other unions, because people believe they can stick their head in the sand and it's going to just pass over them. And that ain't what's going to happen.
VLW, you got to announce yourself. We'd like to know who you are.
VLW, if you don't tell us who you are, you're going to get thrown out of here.
Yeah,
What's going on?
I'm an observer.
What local you from?
Me, I'm retired.
Okay,
So-
what local you retired from?
1932.
Okay, all right, 1932.
1932 ain't that old for you be no retiree.
Well, glad to have you, brother. Appreciate you.
Okay.
All right. So again, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that all of these positions, we look at just what happened here with the federal workers. If they can get away with that, it goes to the state.
Right.
Right. PATCO, 1980, Ronald Reagan. The labor movement was 20% of the working class organized into labor movement. After PATCO, we are now down to 6%. If they can get rid of the federal workers, they can do it at the state level, right? Which means that if there are any state workers in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, gone, right? They'll survive in New York and they'll survive in California and Illinois and what have you like that. But these workers, and that's why this battle, this is a today battle. This is our Edmund Pettus Bridge moment. This is March to Montgomery moment. This is not something that we could just sit around idly and think some other guy does this. This is something that we have got to do, right? And people need to start in their barns. If you're a steward, you need to start talking to your members. You need to start cutting out. When I was a steward, I used to cut out newspaper articles and pin them up on the bulletin board. I make copies and distribute them so people could see what was happening around them, the economics of what's taking place. I mean, if you saw where Elon Musk was making a speech to these right-wing people in England and vilifying people of color. So we have to understand that here's a guy who is an immigrant. I mean, he's not born here, he's born in South Africa, right? We need to understand that this is not an American thing, this is global, right? The movement, so Malcolm, who died in 1964, once said, the final confrontation will not be between black and white. I might be paraphrasing a little bit. It will be between the oppressor and the oppressed. So we have to understand what that vision that he saw in 1964, how that's playing out today. Because the billionaire class is not just Elon Musk. They exist in China. They exist on the African continent. They exist in Europe. They exist in Asia, right? This is a global battle against the working class to oppress it. There's a gentleman named, he was a chairman of General Electric years ago. Name escapes me right now. And they asked him, where in the world would be the best place to build a factory? And he said, on a barge. And the person, on a barge? What do you mean on a barge? He says, yes, because you can move it from place to place to take advantage of the lowest wage workers. This is a movement to drive our wages back, to take us back as close to slavery as they can take us. And I don't mean just black folks now. So people need to be very clear. This is the working class. They want to push the working class. They want to remove their pensions. They want to take our health care. They want to take our wages, and that you're just a subsistent guy, a subsistent woman, right? That your children have no future, because there ain't going to be no future, right? Because all the money is going to be concentrated here. But, you know, Karl Marx said that when that point came, that's when the revolution would come, because then they would wake up and realize that this is not about being white, that white folks don't consider them to be white. White folks consider them to be a part of the working class and will crush them the way they crushed them before.
So we talk about working class versus ruling class a lot. And I got to ask everybody on here a question, and I'll go through the list here. Anybody that want to answer. So do you see classism within the Teamsters organization? So I'm gonna start with you, Gary. Do you see that where we have folks who may come from a different craft or a different company they work for, they believe that maybe their paychecks will get them over rather than the fact that they are in a union and that we need to stick together and have solidarity within our ranks versus the employer instead of, you know what, I'm gonna sit this fight out. I'm gonna let them handle it. Or the union is not me. The union is the leadership. Do you see that kind of like classism within this organization? And if you do, how do we fix that?
Oh, every day. Every day I'm in the
Okay.
middle of that struggle right now. My agency, so I'm with Preschool Services Department, Local 1932.
Okay.
And I'm just organized a steward training for the stewards, particularly in my department. That's going to start taking place because when we got unionized, we just kind of jumped into it, and I kind of organized a lot of the stewards because we needed eyes at each site, right? Eyes and ears and voices. And unfortunately, a lot of the stewards didn't really get a lot of the really meaty training. So there was a lot of this type of class system going on where supervisors felt like they were on one level or they were kind of a pseudo part of management. But yeah, I'm a union member, but I'm also management, all of that type of
Mm,
stuff, and kind of playing both sides and whatnot. And then you also had the older staff that was close to retirement, kind of staying out of the fight, and like I'm close to retiring, so I'm not gonna do anything or rock the boat or get myself in any hot water or whatever type of situations. So I'm constantly dealing with that. And it's disheartening sometimes, like you said, where people feel like the union is the local, right?
hmm
The union is the local, and sometimes you'll even hear management in the middle of trainings and stuff like that saying, "Oh, I know you guys are going to call the union." And it's like, wait a minute, So it is disheartening. But like Chris says a lot, it's grassroots. It's from the bottom up,
hmm
right? And for myself, that's where I started. That's where I feel is always been the positive. Um, Talking with people. In our VO training, we say a lot of times it's about talking. You got to be able to talk to people. You got to be able to talk to people, and you got to be able to listen
Yeah.
80%, talk 20,
hmm
right? And it's through that and learning how to do that that I've gained more ground with people.
Okay.
So just listening more and listening to truly where their true concerns are and their true fear actually lies, and trying to educate them towards that level.
Okay. Church lady. I got a call on you. Is she there? She may be gone.
How about the brother from 63?
Yeah. Samsung SM.
Oh, let me. I don't know how to do this.
Well, no, we can hear you. You good?
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was on mute. I'm sorry. I
No,
apologize. I didn't
no,
know how to do
no. No. So
it.
what craft do you come out of?
I'm a truck driver, Teamsters over City of Industry.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you
Okay.
guys can hear me.
What company do you work for?
Martin Brower.
Okay.
What
Now,
did
so go ahead, Chris.
what did they do?
We deliver to Chipotle and McDonald's.
Okay, got you.
Food
Okay,
service.
good.
Okay,
Okay.
got okay, no. Okay, good.
Okay. So my question was that we talk a lot about classism on this program, and I was just asking, do you see the same classism within the Teamsters that a lot of us do see? We have it where the actual rank and file feels that the union leadership is the union and that they should be the ones that do everything while the rank and file just kind of like sit back and just don't do too much. And the second part to that would be, you know, I work at UPS, you work for your trucking company. You know, those folks at UPS, oh man, it's always about them, blah, blah, blah. Why should we even vote? Why should we get involved? Because everything's about UPS. And I get that. So my question also would be, how do we get away from that? So the UPS worker and the brother that you said you preschool, the preschool work, you drive for a small um, trucking company. You know, everybody else, I think Demetra, Yvette, I don't know what church lady, what kind of work do you do? No, you're a school bus driver, right?
School bus driver, yeah.
Right. So how do we get to a point with the school bus driver and the small trucking company, the preschool worker, everybody feels as important as anybody else, right? And I think that's something that we have to work on moving forward because railroad they have a part to play. The preschool definitely has a part to play in all of this because that's the next generation of the country. So, right? So that's important, right? We want to make sure that folks get their food on time and kids get to school safe. So all this stuff is important, but we have kind of like chopped it off. UPS is at the top, and then there's everybody else, right? But we got to fix that where it's not everybody else is everybody's on the same playing field when it comes to fighting these employers. I know that was a loaded question, but how do you see us getting to that, brother?
Okay, the short answer for the first part is yes, I do see the differences as far as the staff or the bodies, the brothers and sisters not being motivated. The second part would probably be more so what you're doing right now. I wasn't aware that this was even an organization slash um, a Zoom meeting that was ongoing. Have more meetings, get the word out, get more people to participate in these type of Zoom type meetings. And I'm sure you guys do things in person and just be more of a word of mouth. I don't have a 100% answer, but I like what I'm hearing so far. At least people are at least trying to do better with organizing and get better organizing individuals.
Right. Because I hear it all the time, and I'm guilty of it. I know I am. Coming from UPS, we do spend a lot of time talking about UPS because it's the largest contract for the Teamsters, and they do carry a lot of weight. But there's a million uh, more folks that want to have that same level of enthusiasm after them. Go ahead, Gary.
But you know what? Like, I kind of use you guys sometimes and other organizations as a point, like a North Star to look towards.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear people complaining and saying, well, they have that and whatnot, or this union, this different union does this, and why can't we do that? Like, we can. We can. It just takes everyone to put their hand in the pot and stir.
Right. That's it. Go ahead, sis Yvette.
Yes, I wanted to speak on the issue with our leadership kind of functioning similar to a lot of our management functions is putting in these hierarchies to make it seem as if this one is better than this one because they do a great job at a lot of companies. If they have several different people like UPS, we do speak about them a lot, but they have the part-time, full-time drivers, feeder, and they try to make you feel like based on what your job is that's how important you are.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people feel the same way about our union leadership, like they treat us the same way as management by making it seem like they're more important. So I know when I've been out talking to members during this season, at our Red Cross locations, at our, Quest, UNFI, we have all these white paper, what they call white paper agreements that don't have master agreements. And I let them know that they are important as well.
Yeah.
We need more representation. And I said, I'm looking for strong people out of each of these crafts because we need, they are the people who do the job.
Right.
Me coming in trying to say, hey, this is what y'all need to do. I've never done the job.
Right.
I can talk about the jobs I've done, but I need to rely on strong, educated, on rights and contracts, people in each craft. And we need to see more business agents coming out of other types of crafts to represent those crafts because I don't feel like I should be out there representing the Red Cross. I didn't come out of Red Cross. I've never had to draw blood. I've never had to do any of those things. And to get everybody's willing to learn. I'm always willing to learn about everybody's stuff. Read all the contracts, do all the things. But until you actually do the job,
that's it.
That's the upper hand
that
our members have. And that's the power they hold. Because then they are the ones who levy that playing field when we come to talk to management because they know exactly what's happening. They can pull the rule over on me because I've never been there, but they can't on the people that've done the job every day. So we need to really empower our members to let them know you hold the power because you do the job. So you know the ins and outs. You are the one who can say, no, that's not correct. And that's the people we need by our side, the voices within these locations. So that's how we have to, take it to them and say, you are the important one. What can you do? Look, what can we do for you?
That's it. How can we help you?
You know what I'm saying? It's us at your service, not the other way around. So that's the type of stuff that we need to change the way it flows. Because currently it's all, well, we don't have the powers, whatever they say. No, you are the union.
That's right.
The rank and file is the union. You hold the power. You let the leadership know what you need from them and how they can help you and assist you because you're paying them to do it. they just need to get that information from you. And
Right.
so that's the thing, don't keep our members in the dark. Educate them and let them educate
Yeah,
us
that
because
that's
they
the key.
know. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? They know. You
right.
can't discount what somebody been doing day in, day out. You
That's right.
cannot.
That's right.
It's very much so value in that. So that's the way we change it and empower our members and recognize that they hold power where they are. And
Yes.
so once we do that,
Things have
it's nothing
changed.
any of these companies can do to us. Like
Yeah,
we
I
are the
agree.
force. We
I
workers
agree.
are the force. So that's my thoughts on all that.
I agree 1000% with what you said. And I think leadership needs to have that message. Listen, I'm just a title. You have the power. We can't do anything unless you give us the power that you have. If you don't give it to us, then we're just up here just wasting everybody's time. Right. And that's how employers been getting over on us for a very, very long time. Especially during this season of politics when there's a lot of local elections going on. We got a national election, and that's the time, and this is gonna sound crazy. I know it is, but I believe that when we have these elections, that's when we need to be more together and more unified than any other time. Because I'm telling you, these companies, they watch every single thing that we do. And they do their best to prick and pry any way they can. I'm reminded of a time, and I'll get to Chris. I'm reminded of a time when in 2023 UPS negotiations and we had to go to DC. I think a lot of the supplemental chairs had to go and try to finish the supplemental agreements before the national was going to get started. And so myself and the president of the local, we went up to DC and we went to go talk to the company representatives about our supplement. And there was a guy from the IBT. He came in and he took a picture and they posted up on social media, right? So it was me and Bagby, and on the bottom it says Western PA supplement, right? Now everybody knows we from 623. We're not from Western PA. But what the company, and the company also knew that there was a beef that the general president has with myself and the local. Trust me, they know. And they say little things now about that. I don't ever go back and forth with them about it because no matter what this political season is with myself and the general president, it is not worth bashing him or saying anything negative about him or whatever in front of management. Because believe it or not, I know this is gonna really, really make people not, understand, but he's not the enemy. No
No,
matter what you say, the general president is not our enemy. Carol Tomei, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, the Walton family, all those folks are. Now we have some policy issues with him, and I think a lot of people do, right? And that's why we have these elections. But him as a person, I don't know him that well to hate him. I don't know
that's
him at all.
that's right.
I really I don't know him.
That's right.
And so, but the company, they will use anything they can to try to divide us even more. And so, going back to what I was saying, so they took this picture, IBT, Western PA. Now they already know that the general president has a little beef with me, right? So they already chomping. So the guy from the company comes in. He said, "Hey man, did you see what they posted about your local Western PA, man? Ain't you guys from 623?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, man. It's a mistake. It happens, right? I don't care about that." We leave the room. Get on the elevator. It's another company guy. Oh man, look, did you see what they said, man? Did you see what they did? Ain't that's messed up? Hey man, everybody makes mistakes, right? And I keep it like that. Even now, when they know I'm running against them, they do little shops and they say little stuff. Man, I don't care. He's the general president. He's the general secretary treasurer. I'm not here for that. We got these contract issues that you guys keep violating. I'm not worried about them right now, right? And so I would hope and suggest that everybody moving forward, and I know it's not going to happen, but I believe that in this moment, in this season, that this is a time where we need to be more united because they watching, they looking. We can have some disagreements on a lot of things, especially with policy, and God knows we got a lot. God knows we got a lot. But I'm never going to I'm never going to show them that I hate the guy, call him out of his name, all the other kind of stuff, because it's not that serious to me. I'm not a politician. I'm here because some things need to change in our organization. And honestly, it's the system that's the problem. It's not him. Now he has benefited from it, but it's not just him. It's people that came before him too. The whole system got to change. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I actually just wanted to do a couple of things. One is I wanted to address my brother from 63 when he says he really didn't have an answer. I said, brother, if we had an answer, we would have sold it to them and retired. It was
Right.
just that valuable. But it is in changing the system. It's in opening up the bottom to rise that actually is going to be what changes the system.
Right.
You could stay in this space. I'm a rank and file member who've been elected to run the union, right? I'm not the union. My
Mhm.
job is to make sure money come in, deposit in the bank, pay who got to get paid, so forth and so on like that. But I also wanted to just point out something. I meant to do this at the very beginning of the program, and it kind of got past me. The Republic Waste guys in Boston settled their contract,
Mhm.
and they came out and they said they're victorious. So I just wanted to raise my hat up to those guys
Yeah.
who've been on strike for quite some time, quite a few months. And I just wanted to big them up.
Yeah. Big shout out to them. Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and getting that done, to the leadership up there at Local 25. Congratulations on a successful strike, because all strikes don't come out good. You know,
Yeah.
and they went through a lot. That being said, I watch the things over the years. I've been around 36 years. I've been a principal officer for 36 years. And we have, and Richard, you kind of said this, and this is important. We have to change the system,
Yeah.
right? Because if we don't change the system, then we become victimized by that system.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's what people need to understand. You know, people think, oh, General President, I'm a VP and all this. I told Richard, I said, listen, I said, you know, I'm at a certain point in life right now that I wanted to see you young cats come up, right? I don't need to be no VP at this point in life. And he said, no, I want you to come with me, and I'm taking this ride. But this is the importance, because it's the younger members that are going to be so negatively impacted
Yeah.
by what the future brings if this union is not turned around. You know what I'm saying? It is their pensions that are going to be lost, you know, right? I mean, you know, so people look and say, you know, I'm not big Democrat Republican, but let me just say this. Joe Biden, I think it was $80 billion, put $80 billion into all these unions that were endangered, and made it retroactive. So if you had gotten a cut in your pension 2 years before, 4 years before, you got your cut restored retroactively. I can't think of anything that the unions have got from a president that was more valuable than that passage of the Butch-Lewis Act. And the fact that we were incapable of embracing that one thing and what it meant to thousands, and I'm going to tell you this, the people that received that money, I'd hate to tell you how many of them voted for Trump. I'd hate to tell you. Go ahead.
DLW, you got your hand up.
Yeah. Let me put on this so that you can see my face.
Oh, what's up, brother? All right.
I'm good. I'm good. But this is a critique, and I hope you guys take it in good order. But we need to be focused. you started this part of the session saying that you're asking the question about class,
Mhm.
and you're going to go down the list of participants. But midway down the list, you diverted into
To
something else.
another discussion. Got you.
Yes, and that is very disconcerting to me. You have to stay focused. Not because an idea comes up in somebody's head, they have to express an opinion about it during when something else is being dealt with. I hope that
No,
you
no,
guys
got you. Absolutely.
can take that good.
Oh no, yeah, we good. Absolutely.
Okay. In terms of the class, because I'm going back to your question.
Right, right.
I'm bringing you back to where you were.
Started. Right.
Right. This class thing is a part of the American community. And so if it's a part of the American community, it obviously is going to be a part of the union system. And we can't escape from that. And one of the reasons why it's difficult and unions are having a difficult time organizing is that we seem to believe that we can do things on our own.
Mm.
We believe that this individual nonsense that they keep telling us about can work with the employer. And so, in order to change the class business and the individual thing, we have to do education. And the brother earlier said something about having more of these sessions. I think that would be helpful, but we definitely need to go on a strategy of helping people to understand the importance of unions, because unions are suffering from their success. Because the unions have built the middle class, now people believe that they did it on their own. And so we have to find a strategy that will help to make people realize that we're all in it together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a one person thing. We're all in it together, and
Right.
we have to work together to make it successful. And in terms of the class thing, the structure of the union, I think that we need to have more business agents that will be able to do more of the work, because it becomes very difficult for me as a steward to be going up against the person who hires me, who signs my paycheck. So that is one of the things that I would like to see the unions increase, is more business agent, so that they could work more closely with the stewards. And I'm coming out of my soapbox now.
So quick question before you roll out. So you say you retired. You a retiree?
Yeah,
And what craft did you work for? What company?
I worked at a hospital.
Hospital.
I'm an accountant.
Okay. Okay, good stuff. All right. All right, good. Brother Chris, you had your hand up, then we're gonna go to Yvette.
Yeah, let me just say this, man, because it looked like 1932, full of these guys from Trinidad and Guyana. So, but I wanted to clarify some things. Class is not an American thing. It is global. And the ruling class is
We're dealing with America now.
no, I understand that, but I'm reacting to something you said, right? Class is not an American thing. Class is global. So if you go to Jamaica, there's a class hierarchy in Jamaica. If you go to Trinidad, there's a class hierarchy. If you go to Guyana, there's a class hierarchy. I invite you to read a book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney. He has another book that you
I've
might
read it.
be
I've read
interested.
it.
So in this struggle, because you use the word that we built the middle class, and it's something that we have to be very mindful of this thought process. What we built was the working class. We allowed the working class to live in a more dignified manner. If you understand, because you read it, so you would understand what I'm about to say. There's the ruling class. They have the capital, they have the power, and they invest their money. Then you have what is known as the some people call the petty bourgeois, but the middle class. The middle class are those people who can earn a living by their own hands. They're accountants, they're dentists, they're doctors, and they can make a living without. The working class are those people who, not necessarily physically, but punch a clock every day. And somebody signs a check and hands it to them at the end of 40 hours and says you get paid. So within that middle class is a range of income that ranges from very low wages, $15, $16 an hour, to people who are making $150,000, $200,000 a year. That might put them into the middle income of the society, but they're not middle class. And we have to be very mindful about how we use the terminology, because it's very confusing to the workers. Because I know workers who make 40,000, they go, yeah, I'm in the middle class because they punch a clock every day, they got a job. $40,000, you ain't in the middle class, you're poor, right? And we need to be very clear about these things when we use the terminology, because the terminology is used also to divide the working class by having people believe things that are not true. So someone who is a feeder driver and puts in a lot of time could make 150 or better, at the end of the year, but you're still working class. You're at a higher level of the working class, and your income might put you into a certain status in terms of where you are from an income perspective, but you're not. You're still a part of the working class because you still can't make money independently of the system. And so we need to be clear about that. But 1932, I mean, y'all, boy, was it y'all left Trinidad and Ghana and just left in 1932? What the hell is going on out there?
Sister Yvette.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure and reinforce that for us as union stewards, when we are acting as a steward, we're equal to management. So it should never feel like that we are less than anything when we're sitting at that table. Now, if we're in as a member and we're being represented by a steward, we have to, it's hard for me sometimes to take the steward hat off and be like, okay, I'm not a steward right now. I got a steward in here. But we are equal to management. So we shouldn't feel no type of way about anything. We're not less than them in the room. We are equal to them. So knowing the rights of us as stewards puts that power in the steward's hand. So it makes it easier. I know you said we need more business agents, but it makes it easier on the business agents if we can
Yeah.
handle ourselves and take care of our buildings in such a way that management knows they can't just try to make us even feel like that, oh, the business agent is, overused, so I'm gonna go to them. No, we're equal here. And so you're gonna take care of this business here. Now, if you can't take care of it here, that's another story, but we are equal at this point. And so we need to make sure we reinforce that and our stewards recognize that true power that they hold when they sit across from their management. Even if the management, signs their checks, they don't have any power. Like I tell them, they just hold titles.
Yeah.
We have the power as the
That's
workers
right.
all day, every day.
Every
And
day.
so, yeah.
Brother Gary.
So that goes back to my earlier point of what I was talking about, specifically to my department. The problem with that, and I see both sides of the arguments because I'm dealing with both sides of the arguments right now. We're increasing our numbers of stewards, but we're not increasing our numbers of strong stewards, right? So on one hand, we're getting stewards because right now we just need eyes and ears and voices at each location. So we're kind of defaulting to at least we have someone, right? Now we're moving into building those stewards into strong stewards that can then effectively deal with circumstances with supervisor, with management, and feeling comfortable in the space of doing that. Because like the sister said, yes, we do have that capability of standing in a certain authority, but until you feel and know and realize that you have that authority, you're not going to act within it. You know what I mean? So, so there's that two parts of that system of where stewards have to be built up to where they understand their authority, they understand how to move in that authority and how to function in it.
See,
like
Rich,
that.
these guys come out of Dr. Eric Williams, and these guys come out of tradition
Yeah.
of militancy, man, in the Caribbean. You know what I mean? So they walk in here with a certain mindset of coming from places where trade unionism is very strong. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? As a matter of fact, I don't want to speak for Trinidad, but like in Jamaica, the political parties actually came out of the trade union movement. The trade union movement built the political parties, and that might be true in Trinidad as well. You know, so it's a whole different tradition. You know what I'm saying? And so, and Gary hit on a serious point about strong stewards. When you have strong stewards, you don't need business agents.
Right.
The
Right.
strong stewards shut it down, right?
Shut it down.
I don't mean strike, but I mean in
Right,
terms
right.
of resolving issues right there on the spot. And it is something that we're going to have to address uh, when we're in power is having programs that build and help to build strong stewards throughout the system. Because steward in the military, that's Sarge. Steward is sergeant, right? Is the NCO. And the NCOs, if you ever know people in the military, it's the NCOs that run the military, not the generals. These sergeants and whatnot, they're the guys that run the military. And and we have to build them up. We have to
Yeah.
make them stronger. And you know, I tell you, I mean, I really enjoy this. My brother out of 63. What's your name, brother? Out of 63.
Charmel Smiley.
Smiley.
Yes, can you hear me? Charmel Smiley.
Charmel Smiley.
Yep.
Okay. No, because you brought something to the table that I appreciate, and I really appreciate this conversation, Gary, and my brother from 1932.
Yeah.
Yeah,
BLW.
and I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
it's good stuff.
Really,
Real good stuff.
this was a good conversation today, and you know, we have to build on this. But you
Yeah,
guys,
we may have to do this again,
yeah,
Chris. I know we do it right now once a month, but we may have to come back next week
yeah,
and can continue the discussion.
yeah.
Because there was a lot to unpack here, and I really want to get into this IBT election, man, because it is important that people understand what is going on within the Teamsters and why there needs to be number one, there needs to be an election, especially during this time, because the brother said something um, about the system about America, and like you said, this class is global.
Yeah.
But what we have right now in America and what's happening in the Teamsters are very, very similar. You have a dictatorial, autocratic type system, and you have a leader who believes that, I'm king, and if you go against the king, we got to come at you. We got to cut you. We got to send a strike in your local without you knowing about it. We got to intimidate you, and we got to, because somebody said something, I think it was you, Brother Gary, that somebody had took a picture and all of a sudden that, it was the
Yeah,
enemy.
yeah.
I mean, that's crazy because somebody had said that about me, that was supporting me, and they saying that you supporting the enemy. And I'm like, what kind of How did I become the enemy? What did I do? It's not, I'm not anybody's enemy but the employer or the ruling class. That's the only enemy I'm to. I'm if you ever get a chance to do your research on 623, and you will find out very quickly that we are not the enemy, right? And you will find it out very, very quickly. And as the President of the United States would say, very strongly. You'll find out very, very quickly about who the enemy is, and it's not us.
Yeah.
And I've told people all the time, because they try to make this thing about it's us versus them, and it's not. We have some very strong feelings about what's going on in this organization, and we think that with some policy changes, a system change, it could be done a lot better.
Yeah.
That's all we're saying. We're not mad if you don't vote for us. We're not upset, right? Because you have a right
Yeah.
to vote for and support whoever. But we do have a problem with people who feel as though that if they speak out and stand up for an opposition, they're going to be just retaliated against and harassed and bullied. That is something that really gets to my core when people tell me that, Hooker, I got you. I'm going to support you. But if I come out and say something about it, man, they're gonna come after me. They're going to trustee my local. They're going to do this. Because we saw what happened to, the
Yeah.
brothers and sisters from 21. You know what I mean? They got slashed, they got cut, we had to pay all this money back and fees because of what happened to them. But that's the system that we've been talking about. VRW, I see you got your hand raised.
Yeah, because the the there seems to be a type of what should I say? Don't want to call it system, but a way in the IBT that tries to stifle
Yeah.
opposition.
Yeah.
Because I can remember in 2016 in Vegas when the current president was going to talk, almost everybody walked out of the convention.
Yeah.
And that is not the type of thing that is a good thing for the organization. We have to understand that we all want the same thing. We may try to get to the end in a different way,
Different way, right.
but we all want the same thing. And we can't afford to have enemies within the organization. We can't see each other as enemies. We can see each other as adversaries, opponents, but not enemies.
Yeah.
I agree.
But let me,
That's perfect.
it wasn't the current president. They led the walkout.
Yeah.
Ever since Jim Hoffa took over, every convention where TDU ran, they had a walkout, and it comes to what I'm talking about. I don't want people to vote for me because somebody told you to vote for me. I want you to hear the debate. I want you to hear the discussion and arrive at the conclusion that this is who I want to vote for. All too often, people are allowing other people to tell them, oh, you should vote for this person. Oh, you should vote for that person. And they did no research. They did no homework. Oh, he's a Democrat, vote for him. He's a Republican, vote for him. No. There are issues that are important to the working class. There are issues that are important to women. There are issues that are important to the LGBTQ community. There are issues that are important to African American community. There are issues that are important to the Asian community and the various different communities. You have to listen to the debate. You
Yeah.
have to participate in the process. And then after the election, you don't get to go home and chill. You get to keep feeding wood into the fire to keep heat in the place because it's important, because you could get lulled,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? So you have to continue to press. So yo, man, I thought you said you was gonna cut the dues. What happened? Hey, I thought you said you was gonna do this. What happened? Don't just go, oh well, we support you blindly. You know, you have to continue to follow the process. I put on the table. You said you went to Miami the first time in Miami, your first time to TNBC. I put on the table uh uh my what was my campaign material, right? And there was a debate, right? People should follow this, right? Because if you follow it, you're gonna see it, like, wow, right? That's why I tell people I write things down. You know, I put out videos. Go look at them videos, and you're gonna see the type of character. That's why I said when I met Richard, I said, "You the future, brother." You understand the point I'm saying? Because I felt that in him then, and I feel it stronger now. Because, and it's important that to what my brother VLW said, we can be adversaries, we can be opponents on issues, not on personality. You understand what I'm saying? We are opponents because we think the union should be going at 50 miles an hour, and you think the union should be going at 75 miles an hour. And we have a debate about what the proper speed is for the union, right? And then the membership. But if you don't know, you know, if Randy could just come in and say, hey, vote for Johnny or vote for Mary or vote for Tommy, you don't even know who they are. You don't know what they stand for. You just putting down a check mark because some other guy told you. And I
Told you, right?
I was in Houston, and I won't tell you what local it was. There in the Midwest, and the guy tells his guys, "Yeah, you should vote for Chris. He's a good dude." And they go, "Okay." And I started to say, well, let me tell you what what I'm stand for and what my program is. No. He said you were good. As long as he said you're good, we good. And I'm thinking, I don't want your vote. And I had this conversation with them in Miami, and they said, oh, that was us. I said, yes. And you allow some other guy to tell you where to cast your
Yeah, your vote.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding? I don't want you around. You're not my kind of guy. I don't want to win with just blind idiots. Oh,
Yeah, blind loyalty, man.
No.
That
I want people that are informed. I
Yeah.
want people that know what's going on. I want people that are engaged, because the union is not 7 people at the local level or 20-something people at the international. The union is the 1.2, 1.3 million members we have engaged in the process. And that's what we have to get to, all these white paper contract. I don't even like the term, but they have to become involved. They have to see themselves as the railroad guys have to see themselves as a part of the union, and not just, oh yeah, we're railroad guys, No, it's got to be deeper than that, because we are going to be in for a battle that is going to scare the bejesus.
Yeah.
Believe me, because it's here and it's now. I mean, and I think the reactions, if you look at what happened to Jimmy Kimmel and what happened with Stephen Colbert, what happened with my sister at the NLRB and at the Federal Reserve, you can see they walked in the door. There's a guy named C.Q. Brown, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, 40 years in the military, 4-star general. Oh, you had a thing when George Floyd died to educate your generals. You're out. We don't want you in here. And they put a guy in, it was a 3-star general, who they had to get a waiver because he wasn't qualified. Hegseth. If you took Hegseth's resume and put it up against the last 20 secretaries of defense, they're probably real true. It's really Secretary of War. That I agree with them on. They could change the name to accurately say who they really are. But if you look at his resume against the last 20, 30, he doesn't even compare. He's not even in the room. This is taking a guy like Chris, take me, and says, all right, you're going to go in here and you're going to perform brain surgery. What? I can't even cut a piece of wood correctly. What do you want me to do brain surgery? This is, this is what they have. And what they're saying to white America is your whiteness qualifies you, even if you ain't qualified. Because if you look at who they're going to, they've targeted women in the military. There was a white woman that was the head of the Navy, admiral. You think they just hand out admiralty to people? You're out. You understand what I'm saying? So they are doing something, and if you are about excellence, if you're about actually capable leadership, they're on a bad path. And this is a part of the struggle. So the union is not just about, oh, we dues payers. The union is about the working class, those who pay dues and those who don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the way we go is the way they go, right? If the union is strong, the working class is strong. If the union is weak, the working class is weak. So we have real work. So we can't look at 700,000 people losing their right to collectively bargain and go, oh, that ain't us. So we don't care. You better care. You better care. But next
Go ahead,
week,
Gary.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Gary. Yeah, next week we're gonna do it again, but Gary had his hand up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Really quick, I know we're up against the clock, but to Chris's point. So Chris, let me say this first of all. Your reputation, what I've seen of you, if someone were to tell me that you're going left, I would naturally think, I'm gonna go left too, but then I would want to then understand why you went that. But my first reaction would be the fact that I trust your character and who you are and what I've seen to direct myself to the left. So there is some validness to that. But what I would say is so at our local part of our training is we learn to recognize leaders in the different departments and in the different fields, right? So we have a 1 to 4 system where 1 is the leader, 2 is like the person who will kind of spread information, 3 is the person that just listens, and 4 is the person that just stays quiet, right? So we learn to identify those leaders because those leaders are the ones where the other staff members will kind of listen to and follow, whether they know the information or not. They kind of trust that person to know what it is that they're saying or doing. So in that, we've learned to identify those leaders, but then also work downwards to educate the ones that don't really know why that they're voting that way or what they're voting towards. So is that dual part of the system working in both directions?
Yeah, if you know what's going on, and if like I trust Richard, right? And so Richard says, yo, I'm going to go down Fifth Avenue. You coming? I'll be like, yeah, okay. What's down Fifth? But I'm going to be asking him as we turn it.
Right.
What's happening down Fifth
No,
Avenue?
Fifth Avenue, right.
I'm not just going to walk over there.
Right.
And if he's going down Fifth Avenue and I think it ain't correct, I'm going to say, yo, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, man, I don't think this is correct. And if he said, well, Chris, I need you, because I'm a kind of a ride or die guy, you know what I'm saying? I might lose my life down there on Fifth Avenue with him, but, but I think I also have a responsibility to say that's wrong.
Yes.
I don't want people, I want my executive board to say, Chris, you're wrong, right? I did a t-shirt, which I stole from Teamsters Mobilize, because I borrow stuff when I see
Yeah.
And so the back of the t-shirt had green in it. And one of my board members says, I don't know, man, that green looked funny. You should put red. So I had the guy that did it do a mock-up with the red. And boom, the red looked better. I'm like, yo, but this is it. You know what I'm saying? You have to be willing to be open to the critique, right? And so earlier we were talking about Teamsters Mobilize and TDU and what have you. If you can't accept me coming in this meeting and challenging what's happening here, you already told me you're not ready for this, right? Because when you choose to be the leader, it means that you are prepared for the challenge, because any leader that's not being challenged is an oligarch, he's a dictator, he's in a fascist mindset, and that is not healthy for working people. because you could be wrong.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? All of us. I've been wrong 10,000 times. I might not tell you right away, I think I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like you might challenge me and I might walk away and grumble, but I'm gonna also take it as, oh, he's got a point. I might tell you 3 weeks later, hey man, you were right about that thing. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna just, oh, you're challenging me? How dare you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I've never treated my members that way. The people that have run against me, they could all tell you that I've never said anything bad about them, in terms of things that I knew about them, who was get high and who did whatever, whatever. I never used that because that's irrelevant to me, right? I challenge you on the issues of what's happening in this union. And
Yeah.
come to this thing with O'Brien, we had an interview and the guy says, I said, I don't know him. I don't know him like, I mean, I know him, but I don't know him to dislike him as a human being. But I've seen his policies from day one. And I didn't like them then. You know what I'm saying? And I've watched this because I've seen him. Like when you go to the convention, you pass through, you got a Teamster shirt on, you got a Teamster shirt on. I don't know you, but I'm not. Hey, brother, how you doing? Hey, sister, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? They're just, man, you walk by this guy, man, he'd look at you, man, like he would just want to choke you right there on the spot. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know this guy.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
why are you looking at me like this? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to live in a union where my member is afraid to say, hey, Chris, you're an asshole. Because that could be one, right? It make me go home and look at myself and says, am I really like that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I mean, they could be wrong too, but you got to have that introspect, you know what I'm saying? And so I want to live in a union where people can stand up and say, I don't support you and still receive sustenance, right? So if they're doing an organizing drive and they're looking for some resources from the international, and there's an election going on at the same time, and they're supporting my adversary, it shouldn't have any impact to the business at hand. The business at
Mm-hmm.
hand is we want these 200 new members in the union, regardless of who gets to represent them. You know what I'm saying? So the business at hand has to become more important than whether or not individually I got elected to something or you got elected to something. That's irrelevant.
Yeah, we didn't even get into the charges, man, that were filed against me, man. I wanted to talk about that, but we'll do that
Next week?
next week. But
Okay,
I
good.
do want to leave you guys with this, that you guys can think about it for all week. So so we were given an assignment, all of us, the whole entire union. We were mandated that we needed to go out and organize Amazon, right? We that was the rally cry. Hey, go out there and do it. They are a threat to our way of life. Well, that's what 623 went out and did, and I got charged for it with election charge because of politics.
Mm.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next week because it shows again what happened to Brian Payton. What's
Yes,
going on with folks who don't go along with the get along? It's a
that's right.
pattern, and people need to wake up and understand. Because when you get that ballot in the mail in November of 2026, your principal office is not going to be there. Richard Hooker's not going to be there. The current general president is not going to be there. It's going to be you, your ballot, and what do you want from your union?
Yeah.
When you get to the convention, when you go in that booth and you make a decision, your principal office is not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. It's going to be you and what you want to take place in your union. If you want to continue under this dictatorship, autocratic, if you don't support me, we gonna come get you because we the boogeyman and whatever. We demand loyalty because we the king. You can vote that way, and we'll never win. Or you can vote for something different.
That's right.
Change the system, open bargaining, giving more locals autonomy, keeping their resources, even though they're gonna be attacked by automation. And that's just some of the things. But again, we'll talk about it next week.
All right, great.
So I know we got a meeting, I believe next Sunday, Chris, at the 28th for the
Yeah.
slate. So after that meeting, we'll do this podcast again.
Okay, good enough.
All right. So we'll put the time out there for everybody. So because there's a lot of stuff that we do need to talk about, because people need to understand what's at stake here in this organization. And I know there's a lot of principal officers who are afraid to speak out, and they're telling their members a lot of things that's not true. And we need to unpack that so people will have the right information and not this political assassination that they're trying to do all because we don't like Hooker or we don't like Chris or we don't like Yvette. That's not enough to tell people why they shouldn't vote for him. I can tell you why you shouldn't vote for the general president. I got a whole list. We got a whole thing, right? And I can tell you why you should vote for us. Just that simple. But you got to make that decision. Your principal officer can't do it for you. I can't do it for you. Chris can't do it for you. You're gonna have to make the determination on yourself, all right, and not be bullied and all this other kind of craziness that's going on. Because if they think it's okay to go into a well-respected principal officer's local, call a strike without him knowing, all because he won't go along with the get along, what you think they're gonna do to you?
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that note. All right, Chris.
All right, brother.
Everybody, VLW, appreciate you.
Yes, indeed.
Mama Spears,
Mr.
Church
Mel.
Lady Yvette,
Yeah.
everybody, Sister Shaw. You guys come back next week, man. We can continue this conversation.
All right, wonderful.
All right,
All right,
now.
what time next week?
I'll put it up there in the email.
It'll be later.
Because we got a call next week that we're having. So also want to let everybody know we're having a town hall for our slate, the Fearless Slate, October the 11th.
Right.
It's going to be from 12 to 1 Eastern time. This is going to be everybody's opportunity to come in for us to listen to what you guys want, what the members are looking to see from their leadership. We're not going to tell you anything. We want to listen. There's some ideas that we do have. We talked about one today about the per capita tax and all that kind of stuff, but we want to go in detail about some other things, open bargaining, the grievance procedure, and all these other things that we need to take care of. So again, October the 11th, from 12 to 1 Eastern time. If you want to be a part of it, you can go to befearless.org. That's b-fearless.org. If you want to donate, you can do that too. Sign a petition, get some petitions together. All of that, the information, the directions are all on the website.
That's it.
All right. So you guys be good, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, now.
All right.
Absolutely.
Take care.
All right, now. Have a good one.
Good night.